Present. They're also pleasant. Tom Miller, is Tom here? Hi, Tom.
Come on up. Here, I can give him mine.
Okay.
Got it right? Doesn't matter.
You can just come right here. So obviously Steakhouse 100 already has a operating license. You are currently involved with the steakhouse, correct? Is this just kind of,
Just
looks
an
like we're
ownership
switching the
change.
LLC? So obviously, you know how it works, right?
Move approval.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Continued luck.
Come back up to the meeting, do we?
No.
Might need somebody to get them through that door to the elevator.
Okay, number 39, new Class B tavern license for JFTC DBA GM's Doghouse, 1641 South 68th Street. Agent Melissa Shruby. Melissa, if you can come on up. Hello. This also looks like, obviously, the Doghouse has been running for a while. It looks like this is just a change in LLC.
Yep.
Okay. That's not changing any management or anything like that with that, correct?
Nope.
Move approval. Second.
Is there any further discussion?
None.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm gonna skip over number 40 just for a moment. The other alderwoman of the district just wants to be here with this, so she'll be down shortly. Number 41, new Class B tavern license for DRM Concessions LLC, DBA Holiday Inn Express and Suites West Dallas, 10111 West Lincoln Avenue. Agent Penny Lenz. Penny, are you here? Come on up. Are you the new manager of the?
General manager
Hotel.
since October.
Okay. And you're familiar with the Wisconsin liquor laws?
Absolutely. I do have the alcohol awareness training.
Okay.
And everything done, food manager's license,
Perfect.
et cetera, et cetera.
And then all bartenders have to be licensed or someone on premise with
And actually,
valid
it's just retail
license?
sales for beer, so
Okay.
yeah, anyone that's involved in the selling of alcohol, we don't have a bar, it's really just retail sales for canned beer.
Okay.
But everyone will have the appropriate tips or alcohol awareness training that's involved with any sales.
Oh. Okay.
So is that Class B?
Yeah, would this need to still be a Class B tavern license, or could this be a Class A liquor and beer license?
So hotels are treated a little differently when it comes to alcohol licensing because their premises is such that they're allowed to have people who carry alcohol in, because the premises kind of goes over the whole
Oh,
hotel.
okay.
It's a little unique for hotels.
Okay.
So
So
generally,
guests would be able to have beer basically anywhere except for like the pool and area, but other public spaces, their guest rooms,
yes.
et cetera.
Yeah, so it's a little odd for hotels, so most hotels do get a Class B for that reason. Because there are
Gotcha.
special rules that allow them more flexibility.
Makes sense.
Thank you.
Okay,
Madam Chair,
yes.
this is not a new license.
No.
It's just a change. So in previous years, these applications would say new non-existing or new existing. So this is a new license, but it's a new existing license.
It's the
Taking
same
over an
hotel.
existing
Yeah, it's- nothing's
license
changing.
location.
Yeah,
It's
just
the
like
same
the.
ownership, same
Yeah,
hotel.
yeah.
It's a new management company,
Okay.
therefore like new operator, but same rules.
Yeah, so so just like the previous two, really nothing's changing. Okay, thank you.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
None.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, number 42, new Class A liquor and beer license for 28 Bucks Inc., DBA Class 1 Liquor, 8423 West Cleveland Avenue. Agent Hardeep Singh. Hello.
Hello, ma'am.
And this is the existing liquor store that's by Michael's Restaurant?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it just changing ownership?
Changing ownership. Yes, ma'am.
Do you currently work there now?
No, ma'am.
No? So you're taking over the whole business?
Ma'am.
Okay, and you're aware of all the regulations of where you're allowed to purchase alcohol from, distributors, what's required by state law, obviously carding.
Yes,
Folks
ma'am.
that come in.
I know everything, ma'am.
Okay. Have you ran a liquor store before?
Ma'am, no, actually, I own a couple of gas stations
Oh,
around here.
okay.
So I have a beer and liquor also there.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Is,
To approve?
Move approval.
second?
Second, that's fine. Yeah.
Is there any further discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, the ayes have it. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
We're going back to it.
Yeah, Suzette and Kevin wanted to be part of the discussion. Item 43, resolution approving the reestablishment of the Rainbow Gardens Neighborhood Association and organizational group up to $1,000.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And the ayes have it. I am going to quick,
Go check where they're at.
yeah, real quick, otherwise we're just gonna go ahead and move on so we don't leave people waiting.
That sunlight is beautiful.
We'll just be back with everyone and after this commercial break in 2 and 2.
There's no blind at the door.
No, that's the issue.
Yeah.
We did everything else but the door.
Yes.
Those references, and that's it.
By the time we're here in a month, the sun's gonna be in a different spot.
Start wearing our sunglasses.
Okay,
I just took
it's
them
2
off.
minutes, 2 seconds, right? Is it 2 minutes, 2 seconds, that's what we're referring to, right?
Commercial break.
That was, the show was local.
I was excited. I thought I was on
What a
to
famous
something.
host.
What was that? I thought I was on to something with, oh, that doesn't feel like that has to be a Class B.
Wasn't like,
Turns out it really does.
What a good educational
Yeah,
I mean, you know, it does kind of make sense because like,
100%.
How quickly did they come?
I know me and my husband will get some stuff depending on where we're staying. Actually good.
So it saved us a lot of money.
All right, we have other committee members coming down, so I'll just read out item number 40. New Class B tavern license for B&B LLC DBA The Fumble Inn, 1454 South 92nd Street, agent Rebecca Young. Is Rebecca here? Hi, Rebecca, if you want to come on up. Okay. All right, so this is a new application for the old Slurp and Burp, prior to that Wild Bill's. Let's see. So it's you're William?
Yes.
Hi, nice to meet you. Let's see here, have you guys, looks like it's gonna be hours from, listed as 6 AM to 2 AM, and Friday and Saturday, 6 AM to 2:30. We'll have a jukebox, pool tables, no DJ, karaoke. No pool tables, okay. Capacity of 80. Have you guys previously ran a tavern?
No. We've both been, we've bartended.
Okay,
I worked at a hotel as a bartender. I actually bartend at Shotzi's too right now.
okay.
And we have a lot of support from bar owners in the area to help us out.
Okay. And, let's see here, I'm just looking, so you are gonna have security cameras,
Yes.
inside and outside?
16 total.
Okay. And then I know that we talked about noise when have signs when leaving, last call. Looks like frozen pizza and chips, so this place is it's been a bar forever, and you're gonna be leasing it, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
With the option to buy after 3 years.
okay. Do you guys, I know you don't own the building, there has been some fresh paint, but do you guys have any plans to do anything outside, or,
We do.
okay?
We do have.
talked to Bill, he does plan on siding the whole building. Why we're leasing it as far as what we were told. But we plan on spicing up the outside a little bit more than what it is right now for the time being.
And have you guys obtained your occupancy yet? I don't know, has code enforcement been
We
through?
did do occupancy. We did fail at a couple things.
Okay.
We didn't want to put the money in right now
Right.
unless we got
Know
approved,
that.
because then we're out of pocket.
Right.
you know.
But we have everything set up
Yeah.
as the plumber, the electrician,
The fire
everything
department
that
told
they
us.
told us that we failed, that
Okay.
we have in the works of fixing.
Okay. And then obviously, you know that you have the new building coming across the street.
Yes.
Directly across the street on that side is going to be townhomes. So right now where you are, you have the apartments on one side, right? The one house on the other. Not a whole lot of residential neighborhoods, but your neighbors, but you're gonna have more across the street. They're gonna be new to West Dallas, so you guys are kinda gonna be the face of what West Dallas is. Their back doors of where they come in and out is going to face the front of your location. So obviously, if there's shenanigans, that's the representation that they're gonna have of West Dallas. So I would ask that, you know, you be very courteous to the neighbors and that you understand what's happening inside, let alone outside of the bar. And then he's gonna continue to rent the upstairs,
Yes.
and that's already currently rented, right?
Actually, the upstairs from the bar is currently empty.
Oh,
The person
that's
moved
probably a
out.
good thing for you.
Yeah. Well, he did mention that if it got to be too much for anyone upstairs, that we can actually rent it out to someone that's, you know, able
Understands
to and
that.
understand exactly what's going on. You know,
Okay.
so if it's a third shifter, that'd be great.
Right.
You know, but as long as we can find someone that understands this is the lifestyle that is downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll try to avoid as much as possible. I'm not big into very loud music as it is. I've gotten older, so I've been doing it 26 years, so it kind of gets me a little bit.
Right.
So.
Is there further discussion or questions?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
So you mentioned you have experience bartending.
Both of us.
Both of you do.
Both
At,
of us.
at what places?
I did 4 Point Sheridan downtown when
Okay.
it was across from the airport. Do Shotsies too. Worked at a couple of Milwaukee spots as well. There was more doing security though.
Okay, so hotel bartending is very different. Yes, okay, okay.
But
And-
I did a bar, Deja Vu, back in the day. I guest bartend at Tammy Amon's.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I don't know where Deja Vu was.
It's
63rd and
probably
Mitchell.
like 20 years ago.
Well, I was in the business for 42 years, so.
It was, what was it, 64th and Lapham? Is that
Mitchell.
Mitchell.
It was
Mitchell.
kitty corner from HD Hideaway.
Oh, sure, okay, okay. And unlike the other licenses that we just dealt with, this is currently not licensed,
Correct.
correct?
This
So
would impact
is-
the
This is a
quota.
truly new license,
Mhm.
so this impacts the quota. And what are your plans for work? Are both of you guys gonna be kind of working it all the time, or?
We're gonna be working it all the time. We're gonna
Okay.
split shifts.
Okay, do
We'll
you,
have like a bartender here or there to cover shifts when we can't, but ideally it's gonna be family owned.
say, do you have day jobs?
Yes.
We do.
Okay, so, and what are those?
I work at a vet clinic, so I'm gonna be working until 2 and then coming to open up the bar at 3.
Okay,
I'm a window tender and 12-volt technician for the last 26 years.
okay, okay. And again, you have a lease with an option to buy with a goal of staying there. It's been a while since I've been in there. Are there direct connections from the residential into the bar?
No.
No, that's all, 'cause at
It's a
at
side
time
door
there
you would have
was.
to,
I think at a time, once upon a time there was, and that led to some problems with that location.
Well, the office does look like it has a door that leads to the hall, but there's a freezer in front of it. My plans were to block it off. We're gonna seal it off. Yeah, we're sealing it off.
Okay, and I guess that's not a fire exit?
No,
Okay,
no.
okay.
At least from what the fire inspector
Fire
said.
department's
Yeah.
okay with it?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. He just told
okay.
me I needed fire extinguishers and the
Exit signs too.
exit signs and the
Agree with
fire
that.
alarm and smoke or gas detectors.
And the upstairs apartment does not have direct access to the bar either? Okay.
Separate
I'm just trying to look at the problems there. And again, so it's gonna be the two of you, you already have jobs, and maybe one or other two kind of very part-time employees?
Yes.
Okay. And the menu's just like frozen
At
pizzas?
some point, not right away.
So you're
but
gonna
at
be,
some
you're gonna be doing no food?
Not
for-
in the beginning.
Okay.
Not in the beginning. I didn't actually file for the food license. I did say I want to do that, but we figure in the beginning, we'll just wait. I know someone that wants to do a food truck around the area, so if that was the case, you know.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And you said no pool tables, right?
No pool table.
Okay. And the last owner of this establishment had decided at some point that they wasn't going to follow ordinance and certain closure recommendations. Hopefully, that won't be a repeat.
Oh, no.
I was
You
like,
know.
please don't do that on us because I follow the rules all the time. No,
So I
no.
just want to put out there, you know, that obviously it's
heard,
very
yeah.
important
I'm a
that,
very low tolerance person.
Yeah.
That's why I don't want pool tables. Pool tables bring a lot of issues, and it has for
Smart.
years at many bars. So we're just trying to be a dark bar.
Yep.
You know, a community bar, family-owned business.
I'm going to make a motion to approve.
A second.
Is there any further discussion?
No, Madam Chair, no. Madam Chair, I won't be supporting this license. I don't see it adding, again, this is not one of our existing bars, just changing ownership. This is not adding to the tax base in the community. It's not adding much to the employment base. I don't think nothing against service industry jobs, but most of those tend to be part-time jobs for your employees. And you guys are both gainfully employed now, correct? Yeah, so I will, and based on the fact that although we still have, I don't even know what the quota, where we are up against the quota, but I'm not gonna support a new license that doesn't add more, you know, whether it's in a restaurant or some other interesting activity to the community, rather than just being a bar.
May I say something?
There's 11, just as an FYI,
okay,
11
yeah.
available.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, in the beginning, we planned on working it ourselves just to save on overhead. But eventually, we do want to be able to hire more, you know, people to work for us.
Yeah.
And do a lot more stuff for the community,
Yeah.
like whether it be like Fourth and Long, since we know the owners, they've done stuff for the schooling. We have a parking lot we can do. We've talked about it, doing like bead bag tournaments for whether the community or our kids live here. We live in West Allis. We want to support all the schooling. We want to support our community. Like my parents grew up here, and I came back here when I met him. So, I mean, this community means a lot to us, and we are trying to help the community and build a business for our family.
Understand that totally. Alderman Haas?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. And I echo what Alderman Weigel said. I don't have anything against our applicants who are before us today. I have a problem with the location of this tavern. We're going to have new townhouses being built, nice new townhouses right across the street from a tavern. I can just picture people moving in, and then at 2 a.m., 2:30 a.m. on weekends, they have Harley traffic up and down the street on 92nd Street. That's not what we're looking for in West Allis. It would be a small tavern that is not the highest and best use for that property. And our licenses that we have, not a destination type tavern. Just what do we want for that 92nd Street corridor when we're having this improvement, this vast improvement that's right on the cusp, that's coming around in the next couple of months? Do we want a small tavern that doesn't bring an improvement to the area?
And I understand those sentiments. I will say the place has been a tavern since I can remember. If it wasn't, I think I might feel a little bit differently about it. Depending on who you ask, they're gonna enjoy the neighborhood tavern across the street, depending on who rents those out. I think with traffic on 92nd, there's gonna be traffic on 92nd at 2 a.m. regardless. Obviously, yes, it could add to some, but considering that there isn't parking on 92nd, and in the lot, there's maybe like 8 parking spots, 2 of them for an upstairs unit, doesn't leave a lot of, I feel, traffic coming in and out of the bar and leaving and pulling out. They would have to kind of park not right in front, which is part of the reason that I'm voting yes on that. I don't know if there's other further discussion or if we just want to go to the overall vote. There was a motion to approve and a second. Yep.
Okay. As one of the two alders in the district, Alderwoman Keene and I have had discussion. I do agree with you, Alderwoman Keene, that this has been a bar. I don't know where we could go with this property, being we don't own it, you know, and say, well, we would like to see this, that, or the other there because these townhomes are being built. I get it. But short of the fact that the previous owner just didn't run the establishment within the guidelines during COVID, he lost his license as a result of that. I can't, I guess I'm stuck because I feel that, yes, I would like to see something different there maybe because of the townhomes and whatnot, but who am I to say that you really can't? If you're doing everything by the book, it was a tavern. I can't have that bias and hopes of something else coming along and then just leaving it vacant if it isn't. So I guess I would like to know, Marty or whomever that had the nays on it, like, what would you see going in there? Or are we perfectly fine with just not having a business in there at all?
I mean, if you're asking me, I'd
Yes.
say, I think it's part of a bigger building, and I don't know how many apartments are there.
2, 4?
Yeah, there's one up, so there's one above the, three in the back.
Upstairs does not park in our lot. They have a lot on the back.
Okay, and I'm sorry, sir, who are you? Okay, Eric Millard, just for everybody's benefit.
I'm the investor in it.
Okay, so you're not the owner of the property?
No, we have that option to buy like Bill
Okay,
had said.
okay.
Because Shotzi's 2 is getting, I don't know if you know, but the Post is selling it.
Okay.
So,
I mean, it's not our job to find another use for the property. Our job is to represent the best interest of the city, and this is how I'm doing it, so.
Go ahead.
Madam Chair,
Yes?
I get a lot of what's being said, but at the same time, it's kind of like you said, it has been a tavern. And I think as long as they're willing to clean up the front, because I think that's been a big issue for a lot of people, is what the front looks like. And the fact that I am a firm believer, everyone on this council knows, I've dealt with it. I can't judge a new owner by what the past owner's sins were. It's just not fair to them. They deserve, just like any business deserves a shot, especially if that's what the existing business was. I mean, that's my personal thoughts.
All right, so there,
Madam Chair?
yes.
I guess I'll just address 2 issues really quickly, the one where, you know, they're gainfully employed, but I think it's a dream of a lot of people to maybe, you know, work for themselves at some point, and this is kind of a way to get their foot in the door for that. So I kind of understand that perspective where, hey, maybe I don't have to answer to somebody else if this takes off really well. And otherwise, I agree with the chair about it having been a bar before. I understand what Alderman Haas is saying. I'm really interested in the different kinds of businesses that we can bring in. But as a resident, some people are going to like that smaller bar as opposed to a big, you know, brewery. Some people want that more Cheers kind of thing where everybody in the neighborhood's going to know their name instead of walking into a bigger place. So I think there's room in West Dallas for both.
Thank you. So there is a motion and a second. No further discussion, so I will go ahead. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
The ayes have it. Thank you. So then you'll just go back upstairs.
Go upstairs.
Yep, and then it'll go to the full committee for final.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything else to come before the Economic and Development Committee?
Nope.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 The ayes have it. We are adjourned.
Okay, I'm going to call the Administration Committee to order. I see all 5 members are present. Also note that other members of the council are here also. I've been asked to go right to item number 34. It is a resolution authorizing the issuance and establishing parameters for the sale of not to exceed $10,440,000 in general obligation promissory notes, Series 2025A. Jason, you going to have something for us here?
You can
You
take
can
that
take
one.
this one.
Thank you.
We can share.
So the resolution for the borrowing, this is just a follow-up to our 2025 capital budget. As part of that approved capital budget, we need to borrow some funding. This particular funding is going to be for street reconstruction, the street lighting
replacement and as water and sewer infrastructure replacement as well. We continue to have Ellers as our municipal advisor, and Harry Allen is here from Ellers, and he's going to go over the highlights.
Good evening, everyone. There was a pre-sale packet included, our pre-sale report included within your packet, so I'm just going to go over some high-level information within there, and then give you an update on the schedule for the financing this year. So looking at the outstanding general obligation debt for the city, looking at 2025, you did have a debt levy of 5.1 million. So that will be changing going forward. If you look at your existing debt, it does fall off year over year. So I actually do see some ability to slot in new debt issuances without seeing a large spike in the levy. Jason mentioned this already, but to put dollar amounts on the projects being funded this year, there's 1.6 million for water, 3.25 million for sewer. Both of those will be supported by those specific utilities and not hitting the levy of the city. There is streets at 3.582 million and then 1.95 million for street lighting. The streets and street lighting are amortized over 10 years with level principal, and then the utility portions are amortized over a slightly longer term of 15 years. When we look at the interest rate that we expect for this borrowing, we ran the numbers at 4.08%. If we look at comparable sales in the market, I actually think we're going to do better. We might end up around 3.9% on the overall borrowing. When we look at the future debt levy for the city after this new debt issuance is out there, we go from the 5.1 million to preliminarily around 5.7 million in 2026. So a slight uptick in the levy. However, we're seeing debt issues priced with a premium. That premium essentially means you get extra money for your issue outside of the total amount that you're borrowing. And statute says that that extra money has to go to offset the first year's payment. So we might actually see in 2026 have a lower levy than that 5.7 million, probably more around like 5.2, 5.3. So a slight uptick next year, but not the whole jump. But where you will see some impacts is 2027. The levy would be 5.5 million and then dropping down from there. So a slight uptick with this borrowing. And then when we look at the use of the GO debt limit, so under statute, you can't borrow more than 5% of your total value as GO debt principal. You still have plenty of capacity under that test. Most larger municipalities do. So when we look at where 24 ended, you're using 25%. And we expect at the end of 25, you'll be using 24% of that limit. So still tons of capacity on that front. And then switching gears a little bit, we are doing this issue a little bit different than last year. If you recall, last year we had a two-step process where there was an initial resolution and then a final resolution on the day of sale. That was because last year's borrowing was a little bit more significant than prior borrowings had been, given that public works facility. This year we are going to a parameters type sale. So we are setting certain parameters within that resolution tonight that if those are met by the bids received on sale day, Jason and Aaron will be able to award that sale on behalf of council. So those parameters are that the issue size will not increase from the 10.44 listed in your resolution tonight. There's some pricing considerations there, just really restricting how much underwriters can charge. The maximum interest cost will be 4.5%. Again, I think we're going to beat that by a wide margin. And then we do allow for some flexibility in restructuring. So if we downsize the issue, we can keep those level principal payments. And then the schedule here, looking forward, we are having a review with the rating agency next week to get an update for the city's credit rating. And then we are distributing the official statement to the market in early August with a sale on August 14th. And then funds will be in hand at the city on August 28th.
Okay.
That's everything I had for you all tonight. So if there are questions.
Any further questions? Any further discussion on this item? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? The resolution is adopted. Thank you, guys. Now we're going to go back to item number 33, a resolution authorizing review and appeal of the Department of Revenue's determination of the relative value of taxable general property in West Dallas. Jason is here with us. I think we all read this. We got this in the packet. You want to fill us in on anything on it?
Yeah, did you want to start?
Or Kale?
So I put together a little,
Update.
there we go, okay. So, just 5 slides, I'll go through them quickly. So, we all know that in 2024, we did a citywide revaluation. And then, the summer of 2024, the Department of Revenue did their own internal analysis to identify economic factors. They have then apply that to the previous year's equalized value and essentially say, this is where the value of the city of West Allis should be, and the difference between their number and the assessed value generates a percent, and that's where we get this 87.59% that we all saw on our tax bills back in December. So if you looked up in that box and you saw 87 point, and then you looked at your fair market value, and you probably had a bigger shock than you did in the spring, right? So that's what that is. So this year was a maintenance year, meaning we didn't change the values unless there was a permit, new construction, things like that. So the values remain the same. However, the Department of Revenue still does what they do each year. They do their own independent analysis through the summer months. They come up with a list of economic factors and apply that to the previous year's equalized value to then come up with a new value that they would want the city to be at for that year. So this is just the history since the commercial reval in 2019. So we did that reval in 2019 and we were in compliance at assessed value 3.8 billion. The state thought it should have been 3.9, but that kept us in compliance. But as you see, as the years tick by, they keep applying these economic factors to the previous year's equalized value. And then 2024, we do a revaluation. And so what that entailed was looking at all the land values, updating all the cost manuals to value improvements, the buildings and structures, things like that. We updated the income models for all the income producing properties for rent, expenses, cap rates, vacancies. We reviewed all the sales in residential neighborhoods and applied factors based on those sales to then generate a local assessed value of $5.57 billion. The Department of Revenue, again, did their analysis and came and said, well, no, it should be close to 6.4 billion, thereby generating this assessment level of 87.59. Now they're saying, now the 2025 numbers are estimates. It won't be finalized until later this year, but we do have estimates from them. The state is saying that the assessed value in the city should be close to 6.6 billion, which would drop our assessment level even more, keeping us out of compliance. So here's the big thing. When you're out of compliance for this long, the state orders what's called a supervised revaluation. And what that means is they issue an RFP. They then select a company to come into the city. They do a full, complete interior inspection revaluation. So they're going to canvass, in theory, supposed to try to get every single building in the city. Some people are going to refuse entry. But that's the idea, is that you get into every property and you do a full citywide revaluation, and then they give the city the bill. So in 2021, we had an RFP where we just wanted to see how much this would cost, and 5 years ago it was $4 million. So I can only imagine what that cost would be now. The big problem that we're faced with is that the state did not accept a 100% revalued assessment roll from the local assessor. The local assessor is the expert. The local assessor in this case, I live in the community for more than 20 years. I understand the market. I understand the properties. I've looked at all the information. I've updated all the necessary data. I know this market. We look at 2,000 sales a year. I look at rents. I know what the apartments rent for, so on and so forth. And we put a lot of time and effort into producing a revalued roll for the first time in 11 years and delivered this roll to the state. And they did not accept it as a fair market value. They're saying it should have been higher based on their own analysis, which we argue is fundamentally flawed and wrong. So, what I did here is I ran, well, here, what this is essentially 2024. They're saying that we had a shortfall of almost 800 billion. So in other words, they're telling your assessor, you need to put another $800 billion on your roll, primarily on residential. I know. Can you imagine that?
It'll be a whole new council in 2 years.
Oh my God, did I say billion? I meant 800 million. It's foreshadowing because now for 2025, it's almost $1 billion. It's 960 million that is the shortfall. Most of that they want placed on residential. So let's assume that last year they accepted the roll at 100% fair market value. We don't have an issue with their analysis. It's that they keep applying these factors to the previous year's number. So if it was wrong 20 years ago or 5 years ago, it's just a compounding error. So let's say they accepted the revalued roll in 2024, and then we apply the same economic factors. Well, that gets us in compliance, and we're at an assessment level of 97 because prices have continued to go up on the residential side. And so we've got a couple more $600,000, a couple more $500,000 homes. Market's still going up. So it's my assertion that this is the correct value. And I think at that point, I hand it off to Cale.
Thanks, Jason. Normally, I don't broadcast litigation strategies, but I'm going to make an exception today. What I'm asking for from the council is authorization to sue the DOR to essentially defend what Jason is saying right now and force them to recognize the 2024 revaluation as being 100% full value. The reason I say that is because the system that the DOR uses to compute the assessment ratio is based upon the prior year's equalized value. I don't know how far back that goes. I have no idea how far back it goes, but given the work that Jason and his office went through for 2024, I don't think there's any more reasonable conclusion to draw than that should be 100% full value, of which the statute allows the DOR to do. There's a specific provision saying that you may, during revaluation year, reset it to 100%. I don't know why they didn't do it in this case. The reason I think it's an issue also is I know we had Jason in here and an Ellers person, so I'm going to masquerade as a finance person for a bit. Where is he? All right, well, great. Good, he can call me on this. So let's just go through an exercise to show why the DOR's formula is fundamentally wrong. Let's assume in 1999, the assessor and the DOR had a 100% agreement that it was full value. The assessment's great. Well, I just picked a random number that is equal to about what historic residential increases have been, 4.27% annually. If the formula that the DOR applies is not precise, which, by the way, this is an estimate. You know, assessment and appraisal is not a science where you can mathematically prove if someone's right or wrong. It's more of a mathematical art. And so the idea of computing what's called an economic factor, the difference year over year between the value of property that the DOR uses to compute its equalized value, that number is still going to always be an estimate. It's a good guess, it's an estimate, but the odds of it being precisely accurate are almost zero. It's going to be off by a little bit. It's not something that you can compute with a mathematical certainty. And so I think it's fair to assume that every year it's slightly off, maybe significantly off, but to get it perfectly right is almost impossible. So those errors over time compound. If the formula they use, for example, underestimates by, let's say, 10% of the percentage, so 4.27% increase annually consistency, it would be about 3.85%. If that turns out to be the right number each year, in 23 years, the DOR and the assessment will be out of compliance. and it will forever be out of compliance, even if the DOR every year after that is a perfectly accurate 100% with their economic factor, because they've already knocked themselves out of compliance. If you never give a reset year like that, all you're doing is compounding the exponential nature of percentages and interest. So, I don't know how far back it goes. Obviously, it was prior to 2013 because we haven't done an assessment since then, or a revaluation since then until 24. So, what needs to happen is the DR needs to recognize 24 as a reset year. What that does is it eliminates any issues with any prior economic factors, and it resets the clock. That's the way the system, I believe, is supposed to work, and that's what I think needs to happen in this case. So, that's what the resolution is for tonight. It's why I'm asking the council to approve that. There is a process that has to go through where you have to appear before the tax commission first, and then you can go to circuit court, and it'll all just depend upon how willing the DOR is to recognize the efforts that Jason went through 2 years ago, and also recognize the mathematical issue with the formula they use. So tonight I'm asking the council, even before the August 15th deadline in which we actually receive the notifications that we're allowed to appeal, asking for a pre-approval to appeal that, given the information that we've received so far, and also approve basically every step along the way that I need to eventually get into circuit court on this matter. So, stand for any questions.
Alderperson
You
Hess.
or your office?
I'm sorry, that was more just memory, that was memory reflex, sorry.
You or your office will be the ones litigating this?
Yes.
Okay, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
Gail, Gail?
I do have a couple questions. Jason, this model you speak of, is this something that's created internally with you and your staff, or is this a model that we get handed down from the DOR, or?
The model that generates the assessed value.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is created internally. We use a CAM, or computer assisted mass appraisal model system that is designed to follow industry standards. Obviously, with real estate and the uniqueness of all properties, things that's where the staff come in.
Yes,
They're
that's
in-
the
doing
legwork you
unique-
guys do.
The
Yes.
grunt work that's
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
But as far as the modeling, I would say it's standard. It's not anything that is proprietary or wholly unique. It's just part of the industry standard.
And so most other communities our size, this is the exact type of thing that we do, that they do.
Generally speaking, yes, it should be.
We're not an outlier or doing anything wildly different. And this question is for Kale. This type of challenge, I mean, are we the only city in this boat?
No.
Or-
Not by a long shot.
Okay, so are you?
Not even Milwaukee County. There's multiple cities who are very interested in what we're doing.
Okay, so we're kind of like taking the lead on this?
There actually is, uniquely enough, there's a provision in state law that allows other cities to essentially jump in if they have a similar argument. So I've
So it's
already
not a
talked-
class action, it's kind of a.
It's not a
group.
class action, but I've had discussions with a very large community in Milwaukee County who is interested in providing assistance.
Okay.
Well, who else?
So, yes, I think we're gonna find at least one or two, maybe more communities who will jump on board and help provide some technical assistance in this process.
And is this peculiar to Milwaukee County and our urban thing, or is this going on in rural communities, smaller towns?
This is going on statewide.
Okay.
I know that the city of Janesville went through a similar issue last year. They worked with the DOR at the time, and they changed their.
They gave them a reset.
Well, they tweaked a few
They
things
did, okay.
to get them into compliance. Kenosha, I believe the third largest, they had a $200 million shortfall, and they worked with the DOR, and that shortfall was closed, and so they were in compliance. There's other communities like Oshkosh, and I've heard from Oshkosh that they're faced with this issue. The big city in Milwaukee County, and other communities
Okay.
up north.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a
statewide.
problem at the DOR then. Yeah.
Yes.
And I know that Wauwatosa will likely be going through a revaluation this year as well, and it'll be very interesting to see what the DOR does, because when they apply the same formula to them, I'm guessing they're gonna still be out of compliance if they use the same formula they used on us.
Yeah.
And I don't wanna, get into it too heavy here, but I feel like I need to say it. Mathematically, what they wanna do will fail. And the reason is because Jason's already done the work. It's not such something where if you bring in a different appraiser, they're gonna come to a wholly different number. They're gonna arrive at the exact same number, and then according to the DOR's formula, be at the exact same equalized value ratio, making us still out of compliance. And let's say they hire an unscrupulous assessment firm who comes in and just says, wait, what's the number? And they just find
Aim
$1
for
billion to add to our assessed value to make it 100% and meet the formula. Let's say that happens. What's going to happen next is everyone's going to get their notice of assessment changing, and every residential house is going to go up an average of $60,000. They're all going to come in, and they're all going to say, that's wrong. And we're going to look at their appraisals and tier 1 sales and say, you're right. And we're going to set everything back down to where it was. And then by the end of the year, whoever we didn't agree with is going to sue and be also probably successful because it's been overassessed by this unscrupulous firm. And then we'll be right back to exactly where we were before and still out of compliance, which is why, again, the formula is the problem. And that's why I think it's very important that we hold that line.
Right, and so it's not like we even want to do this. We have to do this.
I think that we don't have to do it, but it's either do this or we spend the next several years spinning our wheels and spending money.
It's only smart.
Since Kale brought this up, I'd like to add the conversation I had with the Department of Revenue. If you haven't noticed, I like to be direct, right? And I said, okay, so you are going to force the city to spend $4 to $6 million to bring in a different person to give you the number you want, because I won't give it to you because I don't think it's right. And they didn't have an answer for that. But that's essentially what this comes down to. You're going to force this city to spend millions of dollars to hit this arbitrary number, 6.6 billion. Can't let it happen. So,
Yeah.
and just as a side note, not to keep belaboring this, look at your tax bill. Look at that fair market value. Do you agree with that? No. We had a person come in earlier this year. I believe we had them assessed somewhere around 390. They had an appraisal report that came in we had them at 386. They had an appraisal report at 390, but the fair market value was 440. Which one was wrong? It was the fair market value. And there's other examples. If you remember my presentation earlier this year, and I put all those sales up there, and you saw that they were coming in right at the assessed value. I produced a spreadsheet, sent it to the Department of Revenue, and showed them where the model was after the reval compared to the sales. It was coming in right around 100%. And that's why we ran with it last spring, is because mathematically I got the model in with so needless to say, some frustration.
Okay, any further discussion on this item? So on item number 33, it's a resolution. That we're already there, okay. So we're done with discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Okay, we are going to go on to items 35. I see items 35, 36, and 37 are all posted for closed session. Do we need to go, we want to go into closed session? Yes. Okay. So for agenda items 35 through 37, the administration committee may convene in closed session pursuant to the provisions of Wisconsin Section 1985 1G for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. The administration committee may reconvene in open session after completion of the closed session to consider the balance of the agenda. Do I have a motion to go into closed session? And a second? All in favor?
Aye.
We are in closed. Okay, so all in favor? Aye. Um, For the administration committee, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.